Hey everybody, it's time for the NintendoFuse podcast. Here we are at episode 169 entitled Birthdays, Retirement, and Pokemon. And my name is Steve, and I am joined today by our regular podcast crew of Barry. Hey Barry, how's it going?
Hey Steve, great to be here as always.
Yeah, and I'm also joined by Greg. Hey Greg.
Hey everyone, favorite time of the week as always.
Yeah, it's always great to get together and talk with you guys about games and join everybody in the podcast chat room as well while we're doing this live on YouTube. Hey Jakester, Night of Darkness is saying hi guys. Hey to Jakester. And if you are watching live, definitely join in the chat. We'd love to hear your thoughts about everything that we talk about tonight as well. And if you are new to the NintendoFuse podcast, maybe this is the first time you're listening to us on a podcast app, make sure you do subscribe. If you're watching us live on YouTube or after the fact, make sure you subscribe on there as well and hit that bell to be alerted about every new video that we post, including our live videos like this, but also our game chats, industry talks, gameplay videos. Sometimes we go live and play some games live as well. And we'd love to have you join us every time we go live. Be sure to also follow us on social media at NintendoFuse on pretty much everything out there. Hey Gamer Boys 0100, and we also do want you to check out our Facebook group. We're trying to build a community over there, and if you join in our Facebook group, that'd be awesome. We can chat about games beyond what we do here on the podcast. That'd be awesome. Before we jump into any of the news and address the title of this episode, specifically about birthdays, retirements, and Pokemon, let's talk about what we've been playing lately. So, Greg, how about you go first? What's been occupying your gaming time recently?
Well, unfortunately, I've had another of those periods where I didn't turn on the Switch, not due to not wanting to. It's just been more, tons of stuff been going on in my personal life. So, yeah, the main thing that I've really been playing has just been Fire Emblem Heroes. I did end up giving up Dragalia Lost, but yeah, the main gaming thing that I've done has just been keeping up with the dailies and Fire Emblem Heroes and ranking up there. So, unfortunately, a small update for me.
That's unfortunate, but sometimes life happens. We were just chatting before we started recording, though, that GameXplain just posted their gigantic analysis of the new Super Mario Maker 2 trailer. You already did your analysis of that, Greg. Anything that you picked up that was new? I know you haven't made it all the way through it yet, but anything that stood out that you didn't grab in your analysis?
Yeah, they caught like a partially off-screen piranha plant that was actually hanging upside down. So that is kind of a unique element because they didn't really previously have that in the other one. It was just always like standing, like had to be like down, like going down. And they also found that like the piranha plants are going to be kind of remain the same for the older games, but like in Super 3D World style, like they'll actually like kind of try to attack you if you're kind of like close nearby. So that was kind of an interesting find as well. That they'll actually be different mechanics. So
that's cool. Seems like a lot more customization this time.
Yeah, that's definitely what they were picking up on. I mean, they had narrowed down some things that looks like some things that are very specific to certain gameplay like styles, and they're not going to be backporting every single element to the older styles. So like the clear pipes and stuff like that. I mean, I kind of was hinting at that in my analysis of it. So it seemed like they're going to be more specialized to each style. So like the Angry Sun might not be in the original game or in like Mario World or Super Mario Brothers U or anything like that. So
okay, interesting. Jakester also said in the chat that he just finished Fire Emblem Fates and Conquest and Birthright. He hasn't got the third game yet, unfortunately, but that's what he's been playing. Be sure to throw what you've been playing in the chat as well if you're listening live. We'd love to know what you guys have been playing. Barry, what you been up to lately?
Actually, I'm still doing Pokemon Go and Dragalia Lost. I have not given that up. In fact, they've just not only added a new event, but a whole new series of tougher battles, which has kind of rejuvenated my interest because I've been just farming the same things every day, and I'm like, oh, it's something new. This is cool. New goals to work for. So I like that they're constantly adding to the game. So for now, it still has my attention. Outside of Final Fantasy 14, I actually did pick up the Switch because I was like, you know what, I really want to play like another visual novel games. I love the Zero Escape games. So Steins Gate Elite just came out on the Switch. I have it on the PS3 and the Vita, but I never picked it up. I've heard nothing but good things. So I'm like, I'm gonna pop this in. And I made it halfway into chapter 2, and I was like falling asleep. I'm like, all I'm doing is pushing A. Like, it literally is a glorified button, like a push A simulator. Like, there's almost no gameplay. I'm like, this is pretty terrible. Like, you make a couple text decisions, but otherwise it's just going. So, but I started getting invested in the story. So I actually bought the whole series on Blu-ray. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it. This way I don't have to push A. I'll just watch it. And I was reading, and they're like, no, just keep going till you get to chapter 3. And then from there it picks up, and chapter 6, you're hooked. And that is definitely the biggest negative I could say about the game, is the slow start is terrible. But I made it to chapter 3, and then 6, and then 10. And then I went through it again the second time just to get all the ending and the true ending, and I was hooked. The story is beyond my expectations on that game. Although I could say you could honestly just watch the anime, which I do plan to see if there's some differences. But if you do, you know, like if you like visual novels, ones that have less interaction, like the Zero Escape games have a lot of puzzle rooms and escape rooms. So there's a lot to it. This doesn't, but the story is awesome. So then when I finished that, I got to do the 8-bit adventure. It came with a little NES game that they supposedly made on a Famicom. So it's not like Shovel Knight where it's like 8-bit style. Like, this is legit a brand new Nintendo game, because it can play on a Famicom. And that was kind of a neat little abridged version of Steins Gate. And then after that, I started Dungeon Stars, which is a runner-style dungeon game with a Fire Emblem style red, blue, green triangle and loot from like Diablo style, and it's really interesting. It's simplistic but complicated at the same time. Like, there's actually strategy and planning, but I enjoy it so far. I mean, I'm just, you know, not terribly far into it, but that's mainly what I've been playing on the Switch. And you know,
cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I went ahead and I jumped back into the archives, I guess, and trying to pick up and carry out some reviews that I had put to the side for a long time, and for some reason just forgot to do them. And so one of the ones that I did this last week was Cluster Puck. Make sure you say that carefully. Cluster Puck 99 on the Switch, and it's a fun game. And I have a quick review out there on our site as well, but it's a fun game, especially if you're playing with a lot of friends. Luckily, or unfortunately, it's only local multiplayer and not online, but that'd be pretty cool. You guys are talking about Wheel of Fortune. That's great. Yeah. Anyhow, Gamer Boy also said he's been playing the old school Mario on the NES Classic. Always a classic to bring out that. I've been playing some on my NES online as well. I did try out the Trials Rising beta, and it is so much better than another unnamed game. However, I realized how bad I am at these Trials Rising games. Like, you have to be precise with your control on that thing. And man, I was falling all over the place and just having to restart and restart. But it's so good that it's like, even though, I mean, it's like Runner, like Runner 3 specifically the challenge level went up high with this game, but because it's so good, I kept going back for more, even though it was like getting punished every time. I still wanted to go back for more. I did hear that you can actually use the GameCube controller with it to be able to feather the acceleration and brake and everything with the R and L buttons. So I haven't tried that yet, but I'm looking forward to trying that because I think that would help a lot as well. Because especially in a game like that where your acceleration matters so much, it'd be nice to have some analog control instead of just being all on or all off. So I'm looking forward to that. And Jakester's asking about Torna. I did play Torna, and Barry and I had quite the discussion while I was playing Torna and going through it. And I got some frustration about Torna actually, and I haven't finished it yet. And not for lack of trying, I don't think, on my behalf. I tried to finish it. I thought I was going to finish it. And then come to find out, I've got to get my community level up to 4, and I was only on 1 before that, and got it up to 2 to go to complete something. And then all of a sudden it says, nope, you got to get up to level 4 before you finish this game. And I'm currently at a high level 2. Haven't even made it to level 3 yet. So I've got to do all these side quests in order to get my community level up to level 4. And in order to do those side quests, I've got to go searching around everywhere. And Barry knows I got frustrated by that. And I put it to the side and I haven't touched it yet. So that's my experience with Torna over the last couple of weeks, is that it did get exciting, and then it came to a screeching halt because of those mandatory side quests. So yeah.
The side quests are the best part, though. Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, I haven't found the good ones yet, apparently. Because all the ones that I have, it just says, go do this and then come back.
Yeah, you know why? Because when you're at community level 1, you can only do a few side quests. And then when you get to community level 2, new side quests open. And then when you get to 3, new side quests open, and then 4 more. And as you get in, the side quests go from more standard fetch quests to more in-depth story-based quests. And there's trees, so like you have to do this quest, and then this one opens, and then this quest, etc. So there is more to it. You just, like I said, like I told you, you're supposed to be doing this as you play the game. You're not supposed to just go story, 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 story. You're supposed to stop and smell the roses.
Right, which totally makes sense, except for I would have preferred them to have stops along the way that make you do that, instead of I went like 10 hours into the game and then finally hit my first requirement. And then it was like 1 hour later, I hit another requirement. Like if those were paced out along the way, they're like, okay, you play for 5 hours, then you have to hit your first one. Then you can play for 5 more hours or whatever. But because they weren't evenly paced, I thought I was able to keep flying through the game, and then I wasn't. And then I was able to play a little more, and then it jumped me 2 levels ahead. It was the next stop. So I feel like if they would have kind of, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of hand-holding, but at least let me know what that pace should be. I would have completed more side quests along the way. That I didn't realize it was a requirement until way too late.
Well, the good news is when you finish Torna and you move to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 proper, there is no community level at all. That's a Torna thing. And therefore, there is no screeching halt. You could just keep flying through the story if you want. You don't actually have to do, if I remember correctly, like any side quests if you don't want to in Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Maybe
proper.
I should have just started with 2 instead.
Well, you're so close, and the ending of Torna like leads into the beginning of 2. So it's better for you to finish at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. Greg's over there sitting going, I'm glad I didn't even start this game.
I'm not usually one for, like, I don't mind the side quests. I usually try to like complete that. I'm just trying to like draw a comparison. Like if it was like Breath of the Wild, like you can't even like go to see Ganon unless you like defeat all 4 divine beasts. Like if they had some sort of requirement, then you like actually like went to Hyrule Castle, stormed it, made it to Ganon, like, I'm sorry, you need all 4 divine beasts like right outside of Ganon's door. I mean, that would have been kind of stupid, but that's kind of what it sounds like. It's like they don't require you to do it, but I mean, they kind of force it on you.
I think it'd be better. I mean, and I don't know for sure like what the later side quests are, but if they were side quests like Zelda, I think I would have enjoyed it more, because I feel like it was more action oriented, where a lot of these are just go grab this and come back, or go find this and come back, or go make this and come back, or whatever. And those are just not that fun. But I guess, you know, like Barry said, eventually I'll get to more enjoyable ones, but getting to those is kind of annoying right now.
Yeah, because you're at the end of the game, and the quests you're doing are like to teach you how to play the game. You just kind of went past it.
Exactly. So that's what I think. I think they should have made me do those early on instead of requiring it near the end. But yeah.
I can see that. I can see there's valid criticism, and that's fine. But that being said, there are some very emotional side quests, and you're like right at the cusp of the biggest emotional roller coaster of the game.
We'll get there though. But it is fun. Like the overall game has been fun. I loved. I finally got into the style of fighting and everything, and I feel like I get a good handle of how to attack and everything. And that was the hardest thing. Is like I don't like, I don't need to get up to a certain level. I can take on the last guy, no problem right now. But then like, oh, it's making me slow down. I just want to keep going forward and get in the action. So, but that part of the game has been really, really fun. I'm really enjoying it. So.
Are you taking the time to at least explore the maps you come to and find all the teleport points and find all the NMs, because there's a bunch of like, you know, and big monsters to fight? And
sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. Like, it all depends on, like, I've kind of went back and forth. Like, for this last playthrough, I've rushed through a lot of things because I was just trying to beat it, to like make everybody happy. But no, but also to get to the ending, I knew it was all going to be great and everything, and I am enjoying all the action and everything. And so I was like, let's get to the next action, let's get to the next fight, and stuff. And so sometimes I am rushing through a lot of stuff, but there's been seasons of my playthrough that I've been able to kind of sit back and smell the roses a little bit and enjoy the other aspects of it.
You need to do that, especially because the music is so beautiful. You just enjoy the music.
It really is. I love how it just like flows together really well, and just kind of goes into it's very similar to how Breath of the Wild incorporated the music just into the style of play and the different levels and everything, and it's been really cool. So, all right, well, let's talk a little about the news. Let's get into that. And there's little good, little bad, little celebration here in the news this time. And let's talk about birthdays first. March 3rd, so yesterday, was the second birthday of the Nintendo Switch. Back in March 3rd of 2017, we had the Nintendo Switch for the very first time. We were to go out and get it in our hands. Some of us pre-ordered it. Some of us just tried to get it the best we could. Let's just kind of talk memories just a little bit. What do you remember from when you first got your Switch, and maybe some of those memories that you had over the years? So, Greg, you're going to reminisce a little bit about the first day you finally got the Switch back on March 3rd a couple years ago.
Yep, I remember going out to wait at the midnight launch at the Best Buy. So I was talking with some like Twitch streamers, and they were all excited to get home and start streaming Zelda. And here we are, still talking about Zelda in this podcast. So it's been such a fantastic game. It was Game of the Year 2017, as very deserving of it, obviously. At least for most people, not everyone. So. Yeah, some definitely good memories to be had. I was playing like Mario Kart with my brother earlier on in the first year, and he actually got in a Switch. He hasn't had a Nintendo console since the Nintendo 64, so it was really cool to have someone else's perspective on a number of the games and opinions. And he really went all into Breath of the Wild, and it was also really cool, like, kind of collaborating. Like, oh, I found this weapon, and it's like this strong, and found this many shrines, and did this many quests. And it's, even though it's a single player game, it still like felt like it was like that schoolyard chat where you're like, oh, I'm doing it this way, and I'm doing it this way, and I solved this puzzle doing this. And I really liked that aspect of it, where it was like you can just like chat about that kind of stuff. And that kind of feeds into the portability. You can bring it with, and I've had lots of fun playing it on the train rides to and from work, and bring it on like vacation to play on a plane or a hotel room, whatever the case may be. So I've definitely absolutely loved, had a lot of fun with that as well. So yeah, the first year was filled with a lot of awesome games. Second year, probably not as many, but it was still plenty of fun to be had still on the Switch, and looking forward. Just can't wait for year 3 to continue on. We already got some awesome games coming up that can't wait to play already. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite system. So at least it definitely outpaces the Wii and the Wii U for me, because it's like a system you can bring with you, and that's perfect for my kind of style of play, just being able to play on the go. So
yeah, you've really dived into the on the go aspects. I know that's like a lot of what you play is on the go, to and from work and stuff like that. So that's been really. I don't do that as much, but I know you do.
Yeah, I think I've only played it on the TV like a handful of times. So that says anything. It's usually either sitting on the couch and in my hands, or in the bed. It's always in my hands, like the screen's like right by my face. It's not
Yeah.
really the TV.
Nice. Yeah, I remember going out and got the whole package. Also pre-ordered at Best Buy. Got my Pro controller, and I had the the Breath of the Wild package and everything. So
Yep.
it's still the case that I use day to day for my Switch as well. And yeah, lots of memories with Zelda. And I feel like one of the biggest things is there's been so many games within this first 2 years, just like, which has made the 2 years fly by, because it feels like a lot longer than 2 years, because there's been so much content coming out for it over these last couple of years. Barry, what are some of your memories of your early times with the Switch?
I remember waiting for that Amazon delivery, because I had one from Amazon and then I had one from Best Buy, because originally I got two. I got one for my wife, which we actually wound up returning that, and I think it like sold instantly because she decided, no, I'm gonna wait, and that was smart because she got the Pokemon Let's Go Eevee Switch. But that first night, I just remember opening it up, and first thing I did was download some stuff. I downloaded like I Am Setsuna. I got a code for, so I did that, and I actually started playing. The first thing I did was Zelda, and I actually did the handheld. That was the very first time playing it, and I was like, this is pretty, but I can't do this handheld, and I needed to dock it. And from then, I've been hooked on docked. And yeah, Zelda captured the majority of that first time. Although that first night we did play some Super Bomberman R and 1-2 Switch. That was the first and last time that 1-2 Switch was in my system. We went through all the games and we said that was cool. Now we're done. Back to Zelda. But no, I think it's miraculous the way Nintendo was able to turn this around after the Wii U. Like, the marketing department was on point and everything. 2018 was a weaker year than 2017, but I think that's to be expected. I don't know how you can realistically be better than Mario, Zelda, Xenoblade in the same year, along with like Mario Kart and Mario and Rabbids and a bunch of others. That's not to say 2018 was bad. It was filled with a lot of Wii U ports. It was filled with a lot of games that are great, but they need updates to keep going to make them better. Which, like Mario Tennis and Super Mario Party and Kirby Star Allies. And then it's also filled with some gems like Smash Brothers and Pokemon and Torna. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And if you look at 2019 is gearing up to be 2017 Part 2. And I think realistically, that's where we're going to have to set our expectations. Like, every other year is going to be a gangbuster year, and then an off year where it's going to be slower paced. Now, 2018 was able to survive because it had those Wii U ports. There's not many Wii U ports left. There might be Wii ports that they're going to do, or GameCube ports for all we know, but it's going to be interesting. But maybe we'll have Microsoft to help us out in those slow times and be like, well, this is a slow Nintendo year, but we've got Halo, Gears of War, and Forza coming out, so cool. Right. So anything's possible. But no, Nintendo's doing really well. I think they really wisened up. They learned their mistake. And 2019 and especially 2020 are going to be the biggest unknowns. And what I mean by that is, up until this point, Nintendo has maintained, ever since 1989, has maintained a 2-system plus ecosystem. Sometimes there's been 3 systems, but there's never been just one. Even when the Wii U was like on its deathbed, it was lingering, just like N64 was lingering, and GameCube lingered, and Wii lingered. But now that this is the 3DS's last year, like, let's be honest, like, if anything comes out next year, it's going to be anything short of a miracle. We there'll probably be some ports for the rest of this year if possible. There's 2 more physical games confirmed, one coming out shortly, which is Kirby. Mm-hmm. So what is Nintendo going to do? Are we going to see Switch be the primary? Are we going to see a new handheld? Are we going to see that Switch Mini? I don't know. It's all unknown territory. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nintendo survives, or succeeds with a one-system ecosystem if they go that route. So it's going to be interesting.
For sure. Yeah, especially because, like you said, they never really had that before. And so if, like, part of me says, they combine the best of the handheld, the best of the home. And so this next couple of years should be amazing because both of those teams come together, but it's still an unknown. We don't know really how that's going to turn out, or if they'll introduce some other, piece to the puzzle that we are never going to see coming. I mean, it's a giant unknown for sure. And unfortunately, some other thing that was a giant unknown was Reggie Fils-Aime's future at Nintendo of America. A lot of us woke up a couple days ago on February 21st to this news, and very surprising, I think, to most of us that Reggie is retiring. He's going to no longer be the president and COO of Nintendo of America as of April 15th. So he's got just over a month left as the president and COO of Nintendo of America. He spent almost 13 years with Nintendo of America, came in initially as the executive vice president of sales and marketing, and then quickly rose to be the president and COO. But as of April 15th of this year, that title is going to go to none other than Doug Bowser. So yeah, you heard it right. Bowser is going to run Nintendo of America. So make all your jokes there about that. But Bowser is currently the senior vice president of sales and marketing. So he's almost kind of taking a similar path as Fils-Aime did. But Reggie's done a lot for Nintendo of America. He's very personable. A lot of people love him. He's one of the most people we connect with in the gaming world at that level, partly because of his personality and everything. A lot of people have some mixed feelings about him, but a lot of people either love him or love to hate him. But everybody, there's always some love for the Reginator. Did you guys see this coming at all? I'm assuming no, but what are your kind of reactions to Reggie stepping out and Bowser taking the lead, Barry?
I did not see this coming. And I was shocked when I read the headline. I was just, wait, what? Like, is this a dream? And for that first day, I was pretty upset. The more I thought about it, and my opinion changed. And my opinion is actually probably going to be very unpopular, but that's okay. The more I thought about it, the happier I got. Reggie as a person is great. Reggie as a PR person is great. Reggie as a spokesperson is great. Reggie as a face for the company is great. But his division that he led, Nintendo of America, is hands down the worst of the three major Nintendo divisions. They are the worst for the players, they are worst for the fans, and they are worst for representation. And they have done some boneheaded moves, asinine boneheaded moves. Operation Rainfall should have never happened. We should have just gotten those games. The debacle with the limited editions of Hyrule Warriors and Mario Kart 8 on the Wii was, I don't know who made that decision, but Reggie had to approve it for 500 copies of each for the entire North American continent is so stupid, because Zelda and Mario Kart just don't sell games. Like, why would we put more than 500 copies? That was unbelievable. And other things, Fatal Frame 5 not getting retail, Bayonetta not getting a limited edition over here where European and Japan gets. There was just a bunch of boneheaded decisions. And when American collectors and American players were like, could we get these? The answer was no. And the biggest offender has been Mother 3. It's been a running joke, and he hasn't let it happen. And there's new controversy of, censorship, and we're not going to put it out. And I hope that's the first thing Doug Bowser does. I am president, and on day one, I am making sure Mother 3 comes out.
That'd be a big way to earn some respect, right?
Huge way. And I think it needs to happen. And I see Jakester in the chat ask what Rainfall was. For those of you that are listening to this that aren't aware, back in the Wii day, there was something called Operation Project Rainfall, where Nintendo put out 3 games in the Japanese market, and the American Wii owners wanted those games. And Nintendo of America said no. So they started Operation Rainfall, where they went to Amazon, where they were listed, at least one of them was listed, under the name Monado, and made it the #1 item on Amazon. Of all of Amazon, it was #1 to say, look, Americans want this game. Nintendo still said no. It took GameStop to convince them to bring over one of those games, which was Xenoblade Chronicles, which now is a multi-million, IP for them. The other 2 games, Pandora's Tower and Last Story, Nintendo in the end still said no. Xseed wound up bringing them over here, and they were the top sellers for Xseed in the history of the company because we were starved for them. The fact that we had to beg Nintendo for games that they put out. And here's the other kicker. Nintendo of Europe put those games out. So the games were translated. So if you're like, oh, well, translation, we don't want to do that. No, there was no translation. That's why Xenoblade Chronicles in America has the European dub, because we're just going to put it out cheaply. Like, here you go. So this was all translated. People were begging Nintendo. Nintendo of America said no. Reggie had to be the one to say no. The fact that he said no on these titles that eventually came out is asinine. When your fan base begs you for games that are already made and already translated, it's no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. You give the people what they want. There's a reason that saying exists. So Nintendo of America has been overall terrible compared to Europe and Japan. So while I'm sad to see Reggie go, I'm also very glad to get some fresh blood. Now I hope Doug connects with the fans, connects with the people the way Reggie did, but gives us what we want so we don't have to beg for it. And when the next Mario Kart 9 comes out, don't give us 500 copies of a limited edition only sold in New York City for the entire continent of North America. There's a lot more than 500 Mario Kart fans in this country and this continent.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and I know that's a lot of people's issue with Reggie. I mean, he is a great personable person, and basically, like all you said, he's great as a spokesperson, kind of that central figure of Nintendo of America. But at least from the outside looking in, it seems like he's made some poor decisions over the years based on what the fans clearly want. And maybe we'll see some changes with Doug Bowser. Only time will tell. Greg, what do you think about this whole changeover?
Well, first off, my body was definitely not ready for. Yep, had to throw that out there. Yeah, that definitely was very surprising news to see. I did watch his little. They did a compilation of a lot of his different stuff that he's done, a lot of the materials appeared in, whether it was the little cartoon things that they had for those video highlights for E3, where he does the Mother 3 joke that was pre-referenced already, and then some of the other appearances where he's has the super laser eyes and stuff like that. It's that was really cool to see how much fun that he's had. And even for Smash Brothers Wii U, he was fighting
Iwata.
Yeah. That was definitely a lot of memorable content that he's been associated with. I don't have as deeply strong-rooted feelings as Barry had. I did play The Last Story and enjoyed it and beat it. I didn't end up playing Pandora's Tower or really get super far into Xenoblade, as also prerequisite for the podcast. So,
well, if you enjoyed Last Story, you could thank Xseed, because Reggie didn't think you would enjoy that.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think Reggie will be missed. I was kind of thinking he hadn't really appeared in a Nintendo Direct, I think almost all year since E3, I don't think. And I was kind of curious, we haven't really seen him. He usually has a segment in the Direct to announce something or other. I mean, usually it could be small, a 3DS revision or something silly like that. But I mean, I was kind of thinking to myself, wow, we haven't really seen him much in the Directs as of late, and maybe that's why he's just kind of was trying to tone down his appearances and stuff, because he knew this time was actually coming. And it's very good. I'm glad he'll be able to spend time with his family and friends, and look forward to see what Bowser can do for us. Hopefully he doesn't get rid of Mario, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Had to throw that in there,
Yeah.
huh? So let's see. I've got some chat in going on the chat room there. Jakester said Reggie was wrong. Gamer Boy is talking about he would love more Nintendo stores to come. I think that could be a cool thing. I mean, especially with Doug Bowser's history within sales and marketing, kind of lends itself a little bit, not necessarily the that arm of Nintendo to sell like with stores and everything, but it could be incorporated in there, especially if he's really trying to bump up sales and they are trying to get more of their content and their material out there beyond games. That could be a cool thing. The Nintendo store in New York is a great store. In fact, that's actually where this mug came from. It was a Nintendo World store back when it was called that. And that's like pretty much just up the street from Barry. So
yeah, actually this shirt came from Nintendo New York too.
Nice.
I think about it.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over time. I think with any big changeover like this, we can base it a little bit on his history, but really it's a big unknown as well. Like there's a lot of big unknowns, I guess, in terms of Nintendo right now. But as anytime with I think big transitions like this, we just don't really know where things are going. But Bowser seems to have a really good track record. He helped out with Procter & Gamble before that, and also has a history with doing some global business planning at Electronic Arts. So even though EA is kind of hated in the gaming world right now, it's a big experience, a level of experience as well, both in non-gaming world and within the gaming world, and being at Nintendo for a couple of years now, and Nintendo of America. I think there's a lot of potential there, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens next. Anytime with new blood, there's a lot of cons that could happen, and you're like, oh man, I hope he doesn't take that down this road, but there's a lot of potential there as well. And I think it'd be good for us to hopefully focus more on the potential of us going forward. But yeah, Jakester also talking about the guessing game between Doug and Reggie. Yeah, that was fun. So it has been cool to see a little bit of Doug's personality. He's popped up in some of their online videos, and that's been cool to get to know him a little bit more. He's not like a completely unknown person stepping into this. He's been kind of present and stuff. He doesn't have the same personality as Reggie, and so that's going to be a little bit of changeover and everything. He's not going to be, I don't think, that big presence like he was, but he's going to bring his own flair to it. And just like when the CEO of and president of Nintendo as a whole, changed over after Iwata, there's going to be some changes and everything, but hopefully they'll be good, and Nintendo of America continues to get better and better. But I guess we'll, a year down the line, we'll be celebrating the Nintendo Switch's third birthday next year, and talking about Doug Bowser's first year as president of Nintendo of America. Hopefully all that is good.
And then Nintendo, if you're listening, I can help you open up that Chicago store. So
there you go. Greg is standing by, ready. His body is ready. So, oh man. Okay, so another big thing that happened over this last week was that we woke up on morning of February 27th. Really, really early, especially for those that are on the western portion of the United States, and we were greeted to a 7-minute Pokemon Direct, which basically told us a lot in a very short amount of time, but not a ton, because there's still a lot of questions about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Basically, these are the new games coming out to Switch in the mainline Pokemon series, and it's going to take place in a new region called Galar. Is it Galar or Galar? I can't remember.
Galar, I think.
Galar. And basically a new setting, new Pokemon. Some existing Pokemon are going to be back, but there's going to be a lot of new Pokemon. The graphics have been updated to reflect kind of this new generation of Pokemon and everything. It looks really cool. At least to me, it looks like a really good graphical upgrade. New elements added to the game, and there's 3 starters. they're going to get to choose from at the beginning of the game. Grookey is this chimp, mischievous chimp, they describe it as, Grookey. And then they have Score Bunny, which is an energetic rabbit kind of Pokemon. And we have a timid water lizard, Sobble, or Sobble. I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Sobble.
I think it's Sobble. And so kind of those are your starters. It's going to arrive later in 2019. And that's kind of the general overview of what they shared. Greg, any further thoughts about all this? I know you're not a huge Pokemon fan, but do you have any thoughts about Sword and Shield?
I think it's great that they gave the game a name, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that Friday before Black Friday is probably when this game will be out, just to hit it. It's going to be their hit home run for the holiday season. So I know a lot of people are excited to have a Pokemon game on Switch. I'll have to kind of see what else other games are around in the holiday season, and maybe I might end up picking up like Pokemon Sword or something, because I don't know, I've always been wanting to dive into it, but never really took a bullet for it yet. So
nice. I think with your love of gaming on the go, Pokemon's definitely one of those great games to play on the go.
Yeah, I didn't really like Pokemon Go as much because I was going to the same spots and it was super repetitive and very grindy, and felt like it wasn't really catching anything much different. It was like the same ones over and over again. So I'm sure the actual console game is significantly better than a mobile title. So
yeah, we're going to talk about starters and everything really soon. But Jakester did say that Sobble is life. If you have your starters picked, go ahead and throw them in the chat when we get to that just a little bit later. He also said that no legendary mentioned was kind of disappointing, that they didn't talk about any legendaries, which is always an unfortunate thing. Gamer Boy says he loves the new starters. Let us know which starter you choose in the chat. Barry, what do you think about this announcement?
I've been looking forward to it, and it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't announcements. Like, mostly it's positive, but you're not going to please everybody. Overall, it's going to be Pokemon. It's going to be hardcore, the core Pokemon game, the one we love, the one we've known since the Game Boy, and I look forward to it. That being said, there are some questions. Is the camera static? Are we going to actually be able to move the camera? Are we going to be able to zoom in? Are we going to feel like more like this is a real world? Or are we going to just be like a grid-based system kind of deal again? Mm-hmm. It's tough to say. A lot of people, myself included, wanted this open world, like, after Breath of the Wild and all this stuff. And Pokemon was supposed to come out last year, remember? Mm-hmm. It got delayed till this year. So we're all in our head like, open world, here we are, running around, go to all the different regions, like this big grandiose adventure. And what we got was the next Pokemon and not much more, at least at this point, which is a little upsetting. Like, after playing Pokemon Let's Go, I really enjoyed seeing the Pokemon on the map, like running into them, running away from them. And going back to random encounters just brings me back to like playing the early games and running around in a square, because it really wasn't a circle, trying to get like an Abra or trying to get like a Ghastly or something like that. Like, oh my God, come on. Like pop, 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 as opposed to at least seeing them. And especially like shinies, like, shinies in Pokemon Let's Go, like you see them, they pop as shinies. So it's like, oh, there's a shiny, I know. Here it's just random, good luck. And I think that's a step backwards. Like, they already made some improvements in Let's Go. And I know some people didn't like it, and that's fine. But I think we're in an age where random encounters don't need to necessarily be there. Dragon Quest has moved past that. Final Fantasy has moved past that. I think we should move past that with Pokemon. But I guess we'll see. There's still time to change it, or at least give an option. And I would be fine with that. I would be fine if they said, do you want random encounters or not? And let you play the game the way you want to play. Fine, cool. But other than that, I thought the announcement was good. The trailer was good. The music was good. I'm excited for it. I have them pre-ordered, ready to go whenever they come out. And I plan to play them, hopefully to completion if I get the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem interesting that they would step back, and for whatever reason that didn't stick out to me. But now that you mention it, yeah, it does seem like they're going to go back to random encounters and stuff. But yeah, I think it'd be nice to if they did have a switch to like to be able to like turn this on if you want to, turn it off if you don't want to. I think that would be one of the things if that's easy enough to do in development. I think that's one way to make pretty much everybody happy. You can have the game whichever way you want to do that, and that'd make me happy. I think I don't think I would enjoy. I've never really liked random encounters, and I think that would be something I definitely, it's I haven't played Let's Go yet. That's because I've been told I can't touch it until I'm finished Torna. But but yeah, one of the things that I remember seeing about the game at the very beginning was that you didn't have random encounters with them, and I like that aspect of the game. I think that's a good step forward. I think it had its time, but we moved on past that, and I think what you said, Barry, is right on. But overall, I think it's be good. I'm planning on picking up Sword, so I'm definitely with the Sword side. I know you're planning on getting both. Which one are you going to play first, Barry?
I mean, at this point, it's just names.
Right.
It depends on what the legendaries are and whatever my wife picks. So, like, for example, X and Y, I probably, like, if it was just me, I would have picked X. But she loved the deer, like, when she first saw it. And I was like, oh, I want that one. So I played Y. So it's really whatever. If the legendary of Shield looks better, then she is going to play Shield and I'll play Sword. And if the legendary Sword she likes better, she'll play that and I'll play Shield. Regardless of which one I like, it doesn't matter. It's a married life for you. It's whatever. keep wife happy. Whatever she wants to play, I'll play the opposite.
You're just pleased that she wants to play with you. So.
Absolutely, and it's better that way, so we could trade at least.
There you go. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. That's one of the reasons I ended up picking up Let's Go was for the Pokeball Plus, but also just in case they do bring over the ability to transfer Pokemon from game to game. I really hope they do some sort of that, and so something around that. And so yeah, it'd be great to bring over those eventually when I get to the game, of course.
I would be very shocked if Sword and Shield did not have connectivity to Pokemon Let's Go. I mean, every other Pokemon game in that regard has had some kind of connectivity with the Pokemon Bank or without it. And I think with the idea of Pokemon Let's Go to bring in new players is to then have those players transition to the main core series. And what better way to do that is to hey, the friends that you carried with you and you loved, bring them over. So I think it would be a huge misstep to not allow that to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So let's talk starters, because that's always a fun thing to chat about. People already have, been debating online what the best starter is going to be. We have no idea, because basically all we know is like a little sentence about each of them. We know what they look like, and that's really about it. But people already kind of chosen their people that they're going to go with, like we said in their Pokemon that they're going to go with. We've already talked about how Jakester said that he was going to go with Sobble, I think, and Gamer Boy is choosing Rowlet apparently from the last game. But what would you guys go for? Greg, I know you're not really big into Pokemon, but of these three starters, which one do you think you would go with if you had the game today?
The Score Bunny, probably, because it sounds like it's like a fire-related one, and I don't know, I kind of like the fire-related element kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, Jigster said, okay. Gamer Boy also says Score Bunny. Cool. Okay. What do you think, Barry?
2 points.
Oh, I think you're...
outside of the original game where I actually picked Bulbasaur because Nintendo Power said, pick Bulbasaur and you'll have a better encounter with the first two gyms. Afterwards, and all remakes I picked Charmander. I've always picked Fire. So I would have to go with Score Bunny.
Yeah. Yep. I actually did the same thing. And I forgot why I picked that. But when you mentioned the Nintendo Power, all of a sudden I was like, oh, I read that same thing.
Yeah, because they give you like this little starter guide before it came out. And it was like, for an easier time, pick Bulbasaur, because the first gym was Rock with Brock and then Water with Misty. And it was like, oh, with Bulbasaur, you have, a strong Pokemon for both of those. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to get an edge in the game. I'm going to pick Bulbasaur for that very reason. And then afterwards, I'm like, damn, I wish I picked Charmander because I love Charizard and he's my favorite Pokemon. So, ever since then, I'm like, no, I'll just fire all the way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so glad you brought that up. I totally forgot why I picked Bulbasaur from the beginning. But I am also going to say Scorbunny as well, mainly because I think he looks the coolest. Yes, Fire as well, but I think the other two kind of. I mean, just the design of them. I'm going to go beyond just the typical, all the strategy and everything too, but I think the design of them just look kind of a little more childish, where Scorbunny is like, there's some fight in him. So beyond him being a fire type, I think there seems to be a little more fight in Scorbunny. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, Gamer Boy was talking about Rowlet from Sun and Moon, but yes, the Scorbunny trio. So we'll all get to fight with our
Scorbunny looks like a better Sonic the Hedgehog than the Sonic the Hedgehog for the movie that they just showed off.
I haven't seen it yet, but I
they just showed it off. It's bad.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be bad even from like the other stuff we have seen, but I saw that they released it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay away. I don't want to ruin my day. It's been a good day so far. But yeah, I'm glad to hear this one might get you into it, Greg. It'd be great to have some good discussion about Pokemon Sword and Shield when it comes later. Call this podcast Scorbunny Fuse. That's right. Did you guys see the article? I can't remember what. There was some newspaper that I guess picked up a false rumor about there being a Pokemon Sword, Shield, and Gun, and they ran it in the newspaper.
I think it was a Spanish newspaper website.
Yeah, it was funny because they had like the logo of it too, and it was bad.
I definitely did not see that.
Yeah. We'll share it on our social media. If you're listening to this or watching it and you're like, wait, I didn't see that. Just watch our NintendoFuse social media. We'll share it later tonight. It's pretty funny that even happened. It was like I can't like I guess newspapers from other countries or whatever run different things. I don't think I've ever seen anything about a video game in our newspapers. But I guess other countries might carry that stuff as news in there. But Jakester says Pokemon Gun sounds uncivilized. It's pretty bad. And the way it's even positioned on there, it looks like the Grookey's like grabbing for the gun, and yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Might be out of a job, probably.
Probably. The last time I remember seeing video game stuff in newspapers was the GameCube and Xbox launch, where they were like, comparing the two and which one was better. That was the last time I remember seeing video games in mainstream newspaper in America.
Wow. You need a gun license to buy Pokemon Gun. Yeah, Gamer Boy. It's going to require a license. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially with all the gun stuff going on in our politics and everything, it might be really not smart to release a game called Pokemon Gun right now.
You won't be able to bring the Pokemon to another state because there's different laws in each state.
You can't bring it on the plane. Can't play it on the plane anymore. Probably not on your train travel anymore. It's all gonna be bad. So. Oh man, it's been great to talk with you guys. We have another podcast coming up on March 18th, 2019. So just in a couple weeks. But until then, what are you guys hoping to get your hands on? What are you excited to play over the next couple weeks, Greg?
Well, I'm just hoping to turn on the Nintendo Switch over the next few weeks. So, I think that there's an Adeline game that came out that looked really cool and interesting that I might try to pick up. Still have to finish Smash Brothers. There's also other games I'm still looking to play. I never really got too far into Octopath Traveler, and I have such a huge backlog that I have not been able to address at this point. There's just games just stacking up. I didn't even really play Mega Man 11 a lot either, so there's just so much that I need to catch up on.
Yeah, this season of the year, I mean, there's not a whole lot of big stuff coming out, at least for Switch, I think, right now, and so it's a great time to go back to some of that backlog and kind of chip away at some of those other games that we just, you know, it's certain seasons of the last year that's just been like, wow, we didn't have enough time to play all these great games. That's kind of what I would be doing over the next couple weeks, I think, as well. And yes, Jakester, I'm going to try to finish Torna. But Barry, what are you looking forward to playing over the next couple weeks?
Outside of Final Fantasy 14 and the mobile games I'm still playing, I'm debating Remy Lore, possibly trying Remy Lore. That looks interesting. Phoenix Wright, the trilogy is coming physically. It's been shipped, so I'm waiting for that to come from Japan because they're the only ones to get a physical copy. But it's in English, so I'll probably go through those. I'm trying to resist the urge to play Steins Gate Zero now on the PS4 because it's supposedly coming to Switch this year, and I was like, oh, I'll wait, maybe they'll do like revise the visuals, but at the same time, I kind of want to know what happens, and like looking, like I can see it right now on my shelf, and I'm like, it's like staring at me, like play me, or more like watch me. Yeah. So I don't know. I might do Trials that came out. I picked that up, but I haven't had a time to give that a try. So I might do that. I don't know. There's too many games. There's too many games, too many good games, and there's more and more coming. My Girlfriend is a Mermaid is coming out. That looks kind of bizarre. So like, there's some really weird games coming out for the Switch that I just almost want to just try for novelty's sake.
I'm really glad you finished that. My Girlfriend is a Mermaid, because I was like, wait a second, you're talking about? I thought you were married, man.
Yeah, no.
No, that is a game coming. It's in Japan.
I saw it on the Nintendo download, and then but it was like I heard My Girlfriend. I'm like, wait, does Michelle listen to the podcast?
And maybe he just still refers to it as his girlfriend. I don't know.
No, we're fine. But yeah, there's some really interesting. Panzer Girls is coming out. Like, I look at the physical stuff, so a lot of it's coming from import because again, Nintendo of America and and a lot of American companies. Capcom is the next biggest. They're up shit creek without a paddle right now with the new Resident Evils they announced. $30 each. The physical of 0 and 1 is going to be $60, and 1 is a download code. Like, people are furious about this. Like, Capcom is not doing any favors for their American audience.
Yeah. It's odd because like they do things like offer Mega Man 11, on physical copy, which, I mean, just to all intents and purposes seems like more of a download game than, because of what they did with 9 and 10 and everything. But then all of a sudden, Resident Evil, it's like, no, we're gonna release it just on download,
and more weird. Expensive. You could buy when they came out on physical. I think they were $20 on PS4 and Xbox One, and they were physical, and now they're digital, and they're $30. That doesn't make sense. And even Mega Man 11 you mentioned in Europe, that never came out physically. Only America got it, with Japan, of course, because Japan gets everything physically. And it might be because of that Amiibo package, but European, gamers that wanted to collect physical, they had to import it from America to get an English Mega Man 11 copy. It's
interesting.
Capcom just hates any place outside of Japan, it seems, lately.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. Eventually we'll get to, we were talking to Greg earlier. We're trying to talk him into eventually getting Trine 4 with us, so we can have a revisit of what Mike and Barry and I played when we played Trine, the special edition or whatever it was called on Wii U, and that was quite the night. We did a quick review of the game. Look back in our back catalog here on YouTube, and you'll find our review of that game back before we had game chats. It was basically a game chat we did right after we played through the game for hours online and using Skype, and it was quite the experience. But the Trine 4 is coming out soon, so, and I heard it's four players, so Greg, you definitely have to join in it.
All right. Do we have a fourth code yet?
We don't have a first code
any
yet.
codes at all yet. we have Barry's pre-order. That's all we got right now.
Actually, I don't have it pre-ordered because I went to the site to pre-order it, and it just says coming soon, so I can't pre-order it yet.
Oh, that's sad. Oh man, it's been great to talk games with you guys. It always is great to talk games with you. Again, our next podcast episode live recording is going to be on March 18th. And just a heads up, that one's actually going to start just a little bit later than we normally do, just because of scheduling and everything like that. So just to be about a half an hour later than usual start time. If you guys listen or watch this later, doesn't really matter to you as much. But if you do tune in live, just a heads up that we'll be about a half an hour later in terms of our start time for the next podcast.
But just for the next one.
Yeah, just for the next one. And yeah, if you are new, make sure you do subscribe here on YouTube. Hit that bell to be alerted about every new video that we post. And if you are listening after the fact on another podcast app, be sure to subscribe and share it with some friends. If you like what you hear, be sure to leave us a positive review on your podcast app of choice, and that would be awesome. Also, throw in some comments down here in the chat on YouTube if you're watching after the fact and you have some thoughts about any of the things that we talked about, what you're playing, what you're looking forward to, about the Switch's birthday or Reggie retiring, about Pokemon Sword and Shield, any of that. Be sure to throw that in the comments down below, and we'd love to hear what our audience and community thinks about all this stuff as well. Again, we'll be back on March 18th with another episode, but until then, happy gaming, guys.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.